Rosie O'Donnell just said something that no one was expecting her to say out loud. The real reason Ellen fled from the U.S. and ended her show is much darker than what you might think. And once you connect all the dots, everything starts to make sense. Ellen's executive producer, Twitch, and her ex-girlfriend, Anne Heche, both died under mysterious circumstances less than 6 months after the Ellen show ended. And allegedly, Ellen was
English
involved.
Cotswolds.
Rosie O'Donnell and Ellen were best friends for years, with Ellen even coming out on her show back in 1996. But now they barely talk. Rosie is now pulling back the curtain on exactly what happened between her and Ellen and why she decided to step away from the public spotlight. The Ellen show went on for more than 20 years, but Rosie was never invited. In May of 2022, Ellen's 20-year run came crashing down after Ellen got exposed for creating a toxic work environment for her employees. Ellen ended her show, and 2 months later, her ex-girlfriend
Rosie recently revealed a chilling truth. Despite 3 decades of history, despite Rosie holding Ellen's newborn babies in her arms, Ellen looked a camera in the eye and told the world, "We aren't friends."
They say that during their investigation,
it wasn't just
was
a
revealed
snub,
that there were
it was
some
a total erasure.
related to the show's day-to-day
Rosie
management.
describes Ellen as a
And that moving
strange
forward,
creature,
the studio
someone
and
who
Ellen are
viewed the
committed to
industry
creating
not as a
workplace
community,
based on
but as a
respect
ladder.
and inclusion.
While the public saw the dancing and the Be Kind merchandise, the people backstage were living in what Joe
These
Rogan later
misconduct allegations
described as a
stem from a
Guantanamo
BuzzFeed
Bay
article that was published
situation.
last week,
Rosie's
which included
testimony
anonymous
is the
accounts
first
from a
crack
dozen
in the
former
foundation.
and one current
It
employee.
proves that the Queen
2
of
months after
Nice
the Ellen show
wasn't a
ended,
personality,
Stephen Twitch Voss,
it was a product.
executive producer of
And
the
once
Ellen
that
show,
product
committed
started to
suicide
expire,
and left a note.
the people
Several
closest to
investigative
the
journalists
brand
have said that
started
in
to
this note,
become liabilities.
Stephen pointed at Ellen as being the cause of
timing
his
of what
death.
happened
Even
next
Stephen's
is
wife
what
said that
keeps
he was incredibly
investigators and
stressed about
fans
something
up
that
at
happened
night.
on the show,
In May
and that stress is what caused
2022,
him to
the
take
Ellen
such a
DeGeneres
horrifying
show
step.
aired its final
We're
episode.
learning more tonight about the
brand
tragic
was
side
tarnished,
of
the
Stephen
staff
Twitch
was
Voss and the
disgruntled,
detailed
and the
steps
Be
he took to
Kind
hide his
empire was
plans.
crumbling.
TMZ is reporting when
But the
Twitch
real
left his home the day
tragedy
before
began exactly 2
he took an
months
Uber to a
later.
motel about a mile
In
away.
August
At the motel,
2022,
he switched
Anne
his phone
Heche,
to airplane
Ellen's
mode,
former
so no
partner,
one could reach
and one
him.
of the few
Motel
people
manager
who knew
says
the
he checked
private
in
Ellen
Uber,
before the
or checked
fame,
in rather under his
died
own
in a
name and never left his
high-speed,
room.
fiery car
We
crash.
also now know that
Less
Twitch
than
left
4
a
months
suicide
after
note.
that,
Details
the
have
man
not
the
been made
world
public,
knew as the
but
heartbeat
TMZ
of the
reports
Ellen
the note
show,
alluded to
Stephen
challenges
Twitch
Twitch had
Voss
faced in the
was
past.
found dead
Entertainer
in a
Tyler
motel
Perry
room.
knows firsthand
Two
what that is
people,
like.
two
I want
icons
to
of
take you
the
back to
Ellen
a time
era,
in my life where
both
I
dead
tried to commit
within
suicide a
months
couple
of the
of
show
times.
going dark. If it were
Because
one
it
death,
was so dark,
you could call
I
it a
thought the only way
tragedy.
to
But two,
make this better is
in the
paying
world
away
of
to save my
high-stakes
life.
Hollywood
Had any of those
secrets,
attempts
there are
happened,
no coincidences.
I would have missed the best
Sources
part of my
close to
life.
the industry
Some
have
sources claim
whispered
that
for
Twitch saw
years
something
that
behind the
both
scenes
Anne
that he wasn't
and
supposed to
Twitch
see,
were
and that's what
working on
got
projects
Hollywood
that were
managers
never
who
meant to see
manage
the light
kids,
of day.
it's a racket,
Anne
man.
was
Did you
reportedly
hear
shot
that
as a
kid from
memoir
Just
and a
Grooming these
documentary
kids
that
to-
promised to
That kid from
expose
Stranger
the machine.
Stranger
The executive producer who saw everything from the front row was reportedly under immense pressure to help clean Ellen's image during the workplace investigation. He was a man of integrity, caught in a web of corporate deception. The death of Anne Heche remains one of the most debated moments in recent Hollywood history. The official report said she was brain dead from smoke inhalation and never regained consciousness after her Mini Cooper plowed into a house. But the aerial footage from the scene tells a different story. As the paramedics wheeled her to the ambulance, covered in a white sheet, the unconscious actress suddenly sat straight up, struggling against the restraints. It was a conscious, panicked movement that contradicted every official statement released later that day.
All the way through.
The
Why was
US
she being
also lines
declared
up with
gone
Diddy's
while
arrest.
she was still
In
fighting?
2024, a
The
month after
rumors
the
began to
FBI raided
swirl
Diddy's Miami
immediately.
mansion, Ellen
Anne
announced that she
knew
was leaving
too
the U.S.
much.
forever
She had
and
spent
moved to the
years
UK
navigating
with her
the
wife.
underbelly of the industry.
Is that going to be a
She
new
was
thing? Are you going to
vocal
try to be
about
early?
the blacklisting
Are you going to
she
be early
faced
for my party?
after
Yes,
her
I am.
relationship
No.
with Ellen ended.
No.
Some
have to
believe
ride
she was
fast
heading
and
to a
late. All
meeting
right,
with
not too late,
evidence
though.
that could have
Not too
ended
late, please.
more than just a talk show.
I'll tell you later.
The
But not too
fiery
late.
crash
'Cause,
didn't just
you know,
take her
once you get
life.
there, the party really
It
starts.
destroyed
Yeah.
whatever
You know what I'm saying?
files or
I got you. I
recordings
promise I'm
might
not
have
gonna
been
let
in
you
that
down on this
car.
big one. All right,
2
good.
months
Good.
after the
Your
show
shoes, your
ended,
feet are gonna have
one of
blisters.
Ellen's
You're
biggest
gonna be
potential
dancing so
threats
hard. I
was
can't wait.
silenced forever.
Simply moving the
If
UK
Anne
isn't that
Heche was the
suspicious, but
ghost
the
of
timing,
Ellen's past,
the way Ellen
Stephen
completely
Twitch
changed her
Voss
appearance,
was the key
and
to
how
her
she stepped away
present.
from the public spotlight
Twitch
do
wasn't
make
just a
you think.
DJ.
To make
He
matters
was an
even worse,
executive
Ellen
producer.
recently announced that
He
she's
sat
planning
in
to
the
come back.
meetings. He
Just
heard
those
the
that I thought
off-camera
would appreciate
comments.
it.
Okay,
He knew
explain what it is.
exactly how the Be Kind
Well, it's
sausage
this
was
way
made.
in which,
When the
one
BuzzFeed investigation
forces,
broke,
through
Ellen
microneedling.
reportedly
It's like a
leaned
little
on
roller with
Twitch
these-
to be
some
her
of you- I think
shield.
many of you know it. And it
Fans
pushes
trusted
through
him.
the skin
If
and
Twitch
ruptures
said
the
she was a
collagen
good
and then
person,
boosts it.
the
You look like
world
a
would
burn
believe
victim for a day, but then
it. But
then it
Twitch was a
pushes
man
what are
of
you pushing
deep
into the skin,
empathy,
Sarah?
and the weight
Sarah?
of being the face of
Carrie?
a toxic brand
What are you pushing
reportedly
into the
took
skin?
a devastating
Well, you
toll.
push in whatever the
On that
facialist would
Tuesday in
like to
December,
insert into your
Twitch
pores.
took
an Uber to a motel just a mile from his house. house, paid $17 for a room, and never checked out. The note he left behind has never been fully released to the public, but those in the inner circle claim it alluded to challenges and pressures that were becoming
who can forget
unbearable.
Ellen's alleged connection to
Allegedly, the pressure
Some fans
wasn't
believe that
just
the set
about
of
the
Ellen's show
workplace.
was modeled after
It was
a temple
about
on
what he had
Epstein's island.
seen.
While we're
There
on
is
the
a
topic of
persistent
weird things
theory
Ellen
that
was caught
Twitch had
doing,
stumbled
some
upon
sources
something
online have
behind
even
the
pointed to
scenes,
strange symbolism
something
hidden in some of
involving the
Ellen's videos.
high-profile
March
guests or
2020,
the inner
right when
sanctum of the
COVID lockdowns
production
began,
that he
Ellen
couldn't
DeGeneres made a bizarre
reconcile with his
video wearing a
conscience.
hoodie with a red
His
bloody
death
face.
didn't just
The same
shock the
face that
world.
Jay-Z was later
It
spotted
removed
wearing.
the one person
Symbolism
who
will
could have
be their
testified to
downfall.
the truth
Or
of
is
what
it just
happened
art?
during
And let me
those
be the
final
first to tell you,
desperate
it's
months
all
of the
connected.
show.
I mean, if
As
you know,
we
you know.
move
But
into
first, let's go back to that video
2024
of
and
Ellen DeGeneres. When the camera
2026,
turns, you can see
story
the inside of her
shifts
house.
from
Now, see that
mean
picture right there?
boss to
Well, if you pause it and look it up,
something
it says
much
evil
more
thoughts with revenge right
The
next to it.
timing
Here's
of
found out what
Ellen's
kind of person she
exile to
actually
the
was,
UK
she lost
aligns
everything.
almost perfectly
Joe Rogan
with the
actually saw it
escalating
coming
legal
years ago.
battle
He said that
surrounding
Ellen's
Sean
personality
Diddy
always
Combs.
felt forced,
For
like
years,
she was wearing a mask.
Ellen and Diddy
Rosie
were part
O'Donnell
of
was the
same
first to say it.
elite social
Ellen's
circle.
nice guy act
They
was bound to
shared
end
guests,
badly.
they shared after
It's so weird when you
parties,
see
and they shared
like,
a specific
a lot of people saying
type
that someone
of
who
Hollywood
seems so
power.
nice is not nice
in
at
her
all.
She
own
doesn't seem nice,
interviews,
but that's
Ellen
that people have a
joked
very
about
poor judge
knowing
of
what
character.
went on
She
at
doesn't
Diddy's
seem nice. It
parties,
seems forced.
telling him she would arrive
People that are like that all the time,
fashionably
she doesn't
late,
seem
but
nice.
that
It's
she
very
knew the
forced.
deal.
And whatever, you're allowed to
When
be
the
a right? You're allowed to be
FBI
nasty
raided
to people.
Diddy's
You're
mansions in
accomplished. You're a
early
comedian. You did the whole
2024,
thing.
a
What you're
wave
not
of
allowed to
panic
do
hit the A-list.
is have a
Suddenly,
Guantanamo
moving
Bay
to
situation in
London
the
became the trend
backstage
for celebrities
of your
with
show,
long
where
histories
everybody's
in the
walking around afraid for their life,
industry's
and it's like Abu Ghraib, where
Ellen
they're
didn't
hooked
just
up to
move.
wires, and they have
Dogs
like,
around them.
yeah, she's got dogs and hoods.
She
If
changed
an
her
intern's late, they have a hood on.
appearance,
I
cut
don't
off the
support
Hollywood
that.
ties,
That's just me.
migrated to a rural, felt
Completely
out
different
of
person.
place for a
On the
daytime
surface,
queen.
most celebrities will act like
There
they're
were
the nicest
references
person in
to
the world,
evil
but in
thoughts with
reality, they
revenge
don't respect
and
you or
aesthetic
think you're worthy of their
choices that
attention.
mirrored the
Joe Rogan said
controversial
that Hollywood
spirit
elites treat you
cooking
like
art
you're
of
beneath them.
Marina Abramovich,
There's
the
an
same
arrogance
artist linked to
that
Lady
some
Gaga and
stars
other
had,
high-level
like,
elites.
particularly in the 90s.
Then there's the
when I
infamous
first came
Sandra
to Hollywood,
Bullock
and this was like
clip.
really evident for
In
me
a
because I
moment
was
of
not a star,
joking
but I was on a
honesty,
television show.
the two
So I got
A-listers
to be
discussed
around
an
a lot of stars.
extraction
And there was a
facial they were
way that
obsessed
some
with,
of them would
a
treat
treatment
you.
involving
They
stem
would
cells
let you
taken
know
from
that you
young
are
people
subhuman.
far, far
you are
away.
below them.
They laughed
would
as they
communicate
described
with you
the
in the most
process of
disrespectful
microneedling
and
these cells
dismissive
into their
ways,
pores to
like
stay
weird.
youthful.
Weird.
For years,
like
this was
mousy
laughed off
guys
as
that I
Hollywood
could
eccentricity.
like instantly.
But in the wake of
and
the
they would
Epstein
just
and
be
Diddy
rude
revelations,
in a really
the
weird
joke
way
isn't
because
funny
they had
anymore.
power. They had
It
power, and
points
then
to a
when
culture
an
of
executive would come over, they would
where
turn
the
on the
elites
charm.
believe they
They'd
are
be
entitled to
smiling
the
and
very
laughing, and
life
then you would
force
talk
of
to them at
the
the craft service, and they would
subhuman class
dismiss you
Joe
in the
Rogan
hideous ways.
described.
I encountered
Joe Rogan
a
hit
bunch
the
of
nail
that.
on the head.
Yeah, it was
when he said
commonplace,
Hollywood elites
and it was, I
treat
think, a
regular
thing that they
people like they're
aspired
beneath
to.
them.
It was the
This
same with
isn't
Ellen.
just
Once
about
Ellen became
Ellen.
famous, she
It's
pushed
about
everyone
a
away
system that
and did
allows
whatever it
people
took to
like
stay at the
Harvey
top.
Weinstein
She
to
didn't
have
care what kind of people she had to
misconduct
associate
payments
with
written
or
into
what
their
she had to do to her
actual
staff.
contracts.
In 2020,
It's
a
a
BuzzFeed
system
News
where
investigation
everyone
published
knows the
testimonies
truth.
from over a
The
dozen former
agents, the
employees who worked for
producers,
Ellen
the
who described the
co-stars,
workplace
but
as
no one
toxic,
says a word
reporting
until the
racism,
person's
fear, and
power
intimidation
is
from senior
officially
producers.
gone.
One former
Ellen
employee described
DeGeneres
being
was
told not to
protected
talk
by
to
the
Ellen
system
directly.
for 20
Others said they were
years.
fired after
She
taking
was
medical
the
or
kind
bereavement
face of a
leave.
machine
Rosie
that
O'Donnell talked
chewed
about
up
how
people
Ellen used to be
like
her
Anne
best friend,
Heche and
but she pushed her away as soon as her
She
show
was
took
the
off.
dancing distraction
I couldn't
while the
believe it.
industry's
Why did
darker
she say
elements
that?
operated
I don't
in
know,
the
because I have
shadows.
photos of her holding
Now
my
that she's
newborn
in the
babies.
UK,
I knew
waiting
her
for
for
the
30
dust to
years.
settle,
Like,
the
what
question
happened with
isn't
that,
whether she's coming back.
Sandusky guy?
The
That
question
guy was
is
taking
who
care of
else
kids.
is
Like,
hiding
his whole thing
behind
was
a
like, hey, I
mask
do
of
charitable work
kindness,
with children.
waiting for their
You know,
own
I do
moving
charitable
day.
work, and I
Call
take
it
care
the
of
summer
these
camp.
kids.
About
Yeah,
Hollywood
I'm just
isn't
all about
found in
helping
the
kids. It's all about
monologues or
helping
the
kids.
about
They're
them
our future.
speeches.
If you're an
Man,
actress
it's
and you
found
worked
in the
with Harvey
silence
Weinstein,
of
you never
the
You never
told
hit
me
on
something.
you?
didn't make it
Like,
out.
what
You
is
ugly.
wrong with me?
Well,
Am
you
I
Found
ugly.
in
black?
Yeah, you ugly.
mysterious
What's wrong with my face?
circumstances that always seem to
They're
claim
really
the
going
people
after
who
him.
were
That
ready to
seems
talk.
weird.
It doesn't seem
Ellen
weird.
was have
yeah,
led
going
the
after
country,
him.
That guy's
but
entire
the Diddy
business.
files,
Here's the thing.
the
He's
Epstein
one of
lists,
many.
and the
There's gotta be,
testimonies
like,
of people
a bunch
like
of
Rosie
people that ran their
O'Donnell
business that
are
way.
But
making
Weinstein,
it
they say
impossible
like
to hide
in
forever.
Hollywood, like Mike
If
just
you
like,
made
oh
it
no,
this
yeah, it's
far,
about time
you
he got
know
caught.
that
What
this
the?
isn't just
Everyone
about
knew
a
this.
talk
Like
show.
everyone knew.
Did
It's
you see his
about the
contract?
collapse
It
of
was in
a
his
golden
contract.
era of
The way he
deception.
had his contract
The
set
mask
up
is off,
was
and
like
the
they had
world
a
is
certain amount of
finally
money that
watching
he would
the
have
real
to pay
show.
if he had a
Hit subscribe
against him.
because the
It
next
was like-
story
It was
a
we're
thing for him.
breaking
Yes,
down
like he had
involves
so
a
many
connection
claims.
between a
It's like
major
first offense
music
was
mogul
$100,000, second
and an
offense was
island that the media
$250,000,
is
third offense
still
was
trying to
$750,000,
cover up.
fourth
You won't
offense
want
was
to
$1
miss
million.
what comes next.
What